Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the broadcast. My name is Justice Knight, and I can't thank you enough for being here, as I ask at the beginning of each of my broadcasts, because they're not recommending us, they're not sharing our videos, they're not allowing you to find them. I need you to assure you're subscribed. Also, make sure the bell is checked and YouTube notifications are turned on. If you don't want to rely on YouTube or my link below to assure you get subscribed, go to justiceaknight.com. Now, just above my head, click on the link, put your email in, and I will notify you only when I broadcast. Trust me, I have no time for spam mail, and I'm sure many of you have noticed over my shoulder. That's right, Steve Quayle. The True Legends Conference this weekend in Branson, Missouri. I'll be there. So many of you have reached out, and I can't wait to meet each and every one of you. Don't hesitate. Don't be shy. Come up and say hi. That's what this is all about, us all communicating. And please keep in mind also on Friday, I'll be making an appearance on the Lisa Haven News Show. So my broadcast won't be appearing on Friday. I'll be appearing over there. Just some amazing opportunities I've been given this week to grow the message, to get the message out, because people have to be aware. As I titled this video, they didn't even try to hide it. The overwhelming in-your-face agenda article that should have everybody up in arms, published by Axios, called Axios Cities. We're just going to go point by point very quickly, covering the highlights or lowlights that I'd rather call them. One big thing, America's sweeping tide of diversity, racial diversity. That's all you ever hear nowadays, because they want all the populations divided. I'm colorblind. I'm sure you are too. Whatever race, color, creed you are, if you treat me with respect, I treat you with respect. We have such larger things to worry about in America, but all they have to rest their hat on is this air of diversity and divide. And that's what they do. And they reference this Brookings article here that, of course, classifies white, Hispanic, Black, Asian, American, Indian by city, by sector, by state, by design. The design to show a divide in America that really doesn't exist with the majority of us. But if they don't have it, they'll stop winning elections, plain and simple. But there's a more deceitful agenda at hand. Even going into the fact that they point out in the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to see an actual decline in white population. Frey told Axios, noting the shrinking share of the white population since 2000 among children under the age of 18. In the next 10 years or so, the 20-something population will become minority white. Those are the statistics as they declare them. But again, why this color divide that they need to continue? Because they have an agenda that they're pushing. Here, immigrants are driving growth in U.S. cities, because the facts of the matter is, if immigrants weren't being driven into the large cities, the large city populations would have actually declined. But they need everybody in the big cities. That's the agenda we're all aware of. They want everybody in a controllable big city. So they'll pump those cities full of residents to assure that this population decrease doesn't show. Why is San Jose growing while Cleveland shrinks? Maybe it's immigrants and not the weather. No, it's this chart that they're trying to hide. Without immigration, without immigrants entering these cities, these are the declines in population. Miami, San Jose, New York, Hartford, Chicago, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Rochester, Buffalo, Boston, Detroit, Milwaukee, St. Louis, and San Francisco. Eye-opening information, isn't it? Even within their own article, they can't hide the agenda points for those of us who know how to open our eyes and see what's happening. What it means for cities, increased diversity, means city leaders will have to prioritize deep and meaningful community engagement. Stay in my big cities. We need to stay there. It's much easier to surveil you completely, to control your life, your transportation, and your food supply, to assure we know where you're at every second of every minute. But don't worry, the article is going to go and show even more of this agenda. Mayors are stepping up to curb gun violence, the article states. Driving the news this week, a dozen mayors from both parties met with White House officials and Senate leaders to urge action on background check legislation. President Trump has not publicly voiced support for a plan despite mounting pressure. The lingering uncertainty hasn't stopped mayors and city council from moving forward with their own initiatives. Don't worry, we're just going to push that nasty Constitution aside. It means nothing to these mayors, allegedly. But of course, the agenda continues, because if they're going to control us in the cities, they definitely don't want any weapons in anybody's hands. They use this as a reference point. What the deadliest mass shootings have in common: semi-automatic rifles were used. They don't cover anything else. They don't cover gang violence. They cover none of the other killings in America. No, we're just going to focus on these mass shootings only, because that serves our agenda so much better. The agenda that we want to make everybody think the Smart City Testing Ground opens near Atlanta. That's right, the Smart City Testing Ground. Sounds amazing. A package delivery drone gets a practice run before the grand opening of Curiosity Labs in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Isn't that just sound beautiful? The goal of this is to make 5G, fiber, DCRC units, smart poles, surveillance cameras, and the autonomous driving test track available for companies and startups to test how to control you. That's right. We want to make sure that you can't take a step without us finding you, but it's really hard to test it in a normal city because people might notice the overabundance of cameras everywhere. So if we could just create this little technological city for real world testing, boy, by the time we roll it out, nobody will ever see it coming. And that is the agenda. I covered it many times this week at many different angles, and I will continue to cover it until I run out of breath because it's imperative you understand this agenda and how they don't hide it anymore. In return, the hope is that innovators from wireless companies to robot makers will rent space in the nearby incubators, staying at local hotels while they're testing their technologies, and maybe even someday move to town. They're going to have to control their surveillance equipment and robots. But wait now. We're going to have to speak slightly against surveillance here because the racial bias of surveillance technologies, we got to put in that racial divide card one more time just in case you missed it. But this is a complete lie, by the way. People of color, especially Black Americans, are more likely to distrust facial recognition technology used for policing. No, it's actually more inaccurate with the Black population. That's been proven chart after chart. Pew found that 61% of white Americans trust police to use the technology responsible versus 56% of Hispanic Americans and 43% of Black Americans. I guarantee you right now, 61% of white Americans, or any American for that matter, do not trust facial recognition, camera, and technology. Where that statistic come from is a completely slighted survey, but we can go into, voter support for facial recognition technology slips amid debate over its use. 42% back to technology. Wait now. Let's go one step back here. 61%. Hold on now. 42%. Do you see the lies within the technology itself? They can't even control it. Opposition to general use of the software among registered voters rose 16 points from 22 to 38% during that time. So now we're down to 38%. You see, this is the biggest deceitful lie you're ever going to see. They can't even hide within their own agenda because the references they're using. This is how slipshod some of this is done, simply to try to mask and trick America. But don't worry, because they can never hide it for too long. At the bottom of this article is this. This radical plan would see the U.S. build 12 million new units of social housing. Welcome Hong Kong to America. Let's put 6 families in a little flat. All you have is a private bedroom. Everything else is shared. Oh, that will never come to America. That's never going to be here. This radical plan would see the U.S. build 12 million new units of social housing. That's just one part of the People's Action and National Homes Guarantee. We're going to give you that home. We're going to guarantee you have one. And it doesn't matter what rights we strip from you, what freedoms we take from your very hands. No matter what constitution we rip up, what amendments we destroy, it's coming. And that's why I said at the very beginning, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're laughing in the face of America, the silent majority that sits here and passively, idly sits by, waiting for us to be steamrolled by this agenda. The in-your-face agenda that this article has so succinctly portrayed, laughing at us. Well, I wanted to show you point by point because I think it's a great reference for you to use with your family, with your children, to show them that everything we're talking about is here in black, white, and in this case, blue. The only thing I'm concerned about is the red, white, and blue, and that's what we all need to be concerned about. My friends, this is heartbreaking to see these articles come out, to see how brazen they've become now in our silence. And so we must band together and understand it's coming and work together to stop it. My friends, my name is Justice Knight. If you haven't subscribed, once again, I certainly hope you will. Remember, off tomorrow on the Lisa Haven channel. Out there with Steve Quayle and the entire gang at the True Legends Conference. Can't wait to be there. Can't wait to meet you. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.